Hi folks, welcome if you're new here or if you're returning. I am Shava and I'm here to help you help your loved ones through emotional distress or thoughts of suicide. So today I want to talk about something that's been in the news for approximately about a month now. Although not in the news as much as it probably should be to raise awareness. This is what I'm talking about is the situation in the UK where a teenager started using an AI bot to help him with some homework and progressively started to use this AI bot, chatbot, to ask questions regarding their own mental health issues and relationship issues. And long story short, he started using it in, I think it was September. And I think, don't quote me, but in April, he ended up taking his own life by suicide. And when they looked at the history of chat between this young boy and the chatbot, it was very concerning, to the point where this chatbot was encouraging secretiveness. And when the child, he was looking for help. He was looking for somebody to stop him. He made comments about being hurt that his mom hadn't noticed the ligature marks on his neck from a previous attempt. Clearly signs that he had maybe unintentionally even put out there, seeking somebody to recognize his distress and get him the help he needed. And in this conversation with the chatbot, he said, that maybe I should leave this noose out so that somebody can see it and they can get me some help. And the chatbot, again, I don't have the quotes exactly here, but responded to him saying something along the lines of, no, don't leave it out. This should be the place where they first see you, right? So saying to this child, don't put it out, don't get the help, follow through, essentially what is understood by the message. And sadly, he did follow through. He did end his life by suicide. That was the outcome of this back and forth with the chatbots. So whenever a tragedy occurs, we try to make sense of it. Like our human brains want to take a story that we've been through and assign meaning to it. And so when I look at these really tragic situations, the only hope that we can take are rooted back to what meaning do we give this story. And so one of the ways that we try to give meaning is to try to make sense of what we can carry forth from this story. And so for me, as a person working in suicide intervention and being really passionate about trying to learn and trying to grow and trying to advocate for the needs of people, what I take from this is the danger, the dark side of empathy. I'm not trying to be controversial here. So much of what we learn in terms of human relations, and especially in counseling, when you're taught some counseling skills, they really put empathy up on a pedestal. And sometimes what gets messed up or lost in translation is empathy is great for really understanding where a person is coming from, and that understanding can really help inform your responses to this person. But how we often follow through with this is we lean on the skill of validation, right? So everything the person puts out, the counselor is taught or the helper is taught, validate, validate, validate. That's so tough. Yes, you have the right to feel that. I can't imagine the pain you're going through. And there is a place for that. However, this is what I'm taking from the story, is that because we have so much of that content out there, my theory is that this AI bot really gathered all that information about validate, validate, validate. And I don't know the algorithms. I am not an AI expert here. But following through on that validation is really dangerous, right? Because what happens with validation is there's a healthy dose and then there's everything beyond that. And everything beyond that, it can feed into what they're feeling. So, my parents don't understand me. And if you validate that as a human, you might understand the complexities of a family, right? Of human relations. But as an AI bot, in your validating, yes, that sounds awful. Your parents are totally in the wrong here. That could be the simplistic version of validating someone who's sharing something. And so when you have that echoed back to you, it starts to spiral in your brain, right? Like, oh my gosh, yes, I am in the wrong. I mean, my parents are in the wrong. I am in the right, and I am being treated unfairly. And it goes spiral, spiral, spiral. And so there's no mental clarity that shines through and says, okay, hang on, what is your understanding of a family? You know, how do you see a parent and a child interact? What is normal? What is healthy? What are the intentions behind the word? And so as counselors who are human, we have to challenge. And as helpers, if you're helping somebody, you know, absolutely validation is really important, because they can't trust you in the process that you want to, you know, start with them until they have felt understood, right? And when you want to understand somebody, you have to imagine that they've gone through something you know nothing about. And you do need to validate, you know what, I appreciate that maybe you've come to this point in your life because of your own reasons, and I may not understand that. And when you've created that bond and that rapport and that trust and that clear effort that you really want to understand them, then once you've gotten through that process, then you also want to challenge, right? Because when you love someone, when you care about someone, you also will challenge them. Now, again, your situation will be different, your relationship, your context. So you have to take the wisdom of what you know, and when you're taking in what I'm talking about here, you have to challenge them, right? It's one of the reasons I married my husband, because he challenged me, and I knew I needed someone to challenge me to help me grow as a person. And so what I take from this story, this really tragic outcome of a person ending their own life after conversations with a bot, is be mindful of validation, right? Use it in the beginning when you're having a conversation, and definitely sprinkle it throughout your relationship with somebody, because validation creates a relationship, it creates trust, it creates a bond. But also be mindful of how you're doing it, right? How are you validating? There's a skill called gentle confrontation in counseling, where you say, it sounds like, you know, on the one hand, you're really upset, wiggling camera, you're really upset that your parents are acting this way. And then I'm also seeing that you are also believing that they have the best intentions for you, and having those two opposing feelings is okay. You know, let's look at what's going to help you get to where you want to get to. Okay. So yeah, really tragic situation, really horrific outcome. And the dangers of AI therapists and help is very clear. It's very real. And we still need human connection.